Hi everybody, my name's Paul Corbett, Charles Fairham and Company, and I'm joined today by Andy Mogg from LemonTop Creative. Hi Andy, how are you?
Hi Paul, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good, excellent. Yeah, very good indeed. Thanks. Good to be catching up and chatting with you. Just for those who don't know you, Andy, would you like to give a brief resume of who you are and what you do?
I'm Andy from LemonTop. So we're a creative design agency. We specialise in branding for the food and drinks industry, mainly. So everything from logo design, social media, all the way through to websites. We can design packaging, pretty much everything you need to promote your beer and your business.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, we're all in a bit of a different world these days from where we were 12 months ago. And I suppose things have changed quite dramatically for you guys as well as us. But what were the first things you noticed really when lockdown hit first time, sort of just over 12 months ago now?
Everybody switching from sort of brewing for pubs. So we, again, pump clips, keg badges, point of sale, that everything like that just dropped off a cliff because the pubs were closed. But then I think a lot of brewers started getting creative and looking at, again, how they could put things into small pack, how they could do bag in box, things like that. So we've been able to help them with that. We've been able to help them get stuff online. So selling the products, pushing the beers with social media, again, just really helping them trying to make the most of the digital world, because
Yeah,
sort of they've always been, it's always been, the beer's always been a traditional. Again, you go down the pub, you have a pint. Like, we'd go to events, we sort of 3-4 events together every year, weren't we?
yeah,
And that
absolutely.
sort
Yeah,
of, that just dropped off, and
yeah.
it's I
Life's
think
changed quite considerably since then, hasn't
it
it?
has now.
And I think we've sort of seen that with breweries as well here, that so many of them have turned around and said, well, we had to recreate ourselves instantly overnight. And I suppose who better to come to than you guys then to get that new image, or to get that e-commerce website or something that they could suddenly then start selling their beer through different channels and getting to a different audience. I think a lot of our customers were saying to us, well, we started selling direct and actually it made a big difference because we could make a little bit more money on it. So on the e-commerce side, have you set up quite a few websites on that?
Yeah, we've done a good handful now. I've lost count, because again, we've had existing ones that we've dealt with that have been improved, and then we've done new ones for existing clients, and then new websites for new clients and people who've sort of more traditional breweries who've never ever thought of having an online shop. Everything was to the pubs that didn't even bottle or can, and then once the pubs closed, they had no other way to sell the beer. So we've been able to help them with that. We've been able to suggest payment gateways and advise them on couriers and things like that. So it's, again, we've been able to use the knowledge and the experience we've built up over the last few years to really help people, which has been good. And we've had some great feedback, and we've had a couple of clients who've said that they wouldn't still be here if we'd not got the web shop up and running.
Fantastic.
And done it quickly for them as well, because
So how complicated is it? Is it because I suppose speed at that time was a fantastic part of it. You wanted to get up and running as quickly as possible and get the local delivery systems going, and even national delivery systems, I guess. So how long would it take roughly to get a web shop up and going for one of our customers if they phoned you up?
Again, it all depends on how complicated or how simple they want it to be. And again, if they've got things like photos and bits like that ready, you can be up and running in a week or so. It really is that quick.
Yeah. So having photographs of your products lining
Yeah,
up, so you can just slot them in, and then you put your descriptions next to them. So I suppose having descriptions, the prices, and everything like that needs to be all there ready to go.
yeah. It's again, that's always the big one with people, is getting the information off them, because quite a lot of people sort of, they don't have photos, or they don't have tasting notes for beers and things like that. So
Yeah.
getting them set up, but again, helping them with sort of pick the right payment gateway, because there's loads of those, whether you use PayPal or Stripe or one that your bank supplies, and then Couriers. Couriers is the next big one, because I think people are surprised at how much it costs to send a case of beer, and especially if you want it in Turin and you don't want it smashing up by the couriers. So there's quite a lot to think about, but again, we've dealt with quite a lot of them over the years, so we're able to sort of point people in the right direction, and then
Yeah,
since we set the gin up as well, we've put ourselves right in the mix with it, and learned through experience with that as well.
yeah, I see. That was the gin was the other thing I was going to come on to there, because you've just sort of set up your own brand, LemonTop Gin. You've got a nice big bottle sat next to you there on the background. That going well for you?
Yeah, it's been really good. I mean, it's a project we've wanted to do for a good couple of years now, and never really sort of got around to it. So at the beginning of the first lockdown, when I thought we'd be quiet, I started doing all my personal alcohol license, getting all the premises license and all of that sort of stuff sorted, which again, it was interesting to go through from a personal point of view, but really gave me an insight into a lot of our customers and what they have to go through, and jumping through hoops for the council and all of that sort of stuff. So that was good. But yeah, we finally launched it just before Christmas. And it took off a lot quicker than we thought it would. I think it's a little bit different to a lot of the gin brands out there. It's a bit of fun, and especially locally, it's captured a lot of people's imagination and sort of that memories of childhood. And because it's based on the LemonTop ice cream, which is a local thing, but everyone seems to have really cottoned onto it, and we've sent bottles everywhere. Whether they've gone to France, Germany, Australia, Cornwall, so pretty much everywhere, and it's been really good. But it's been a good learning experience for us as well.
I should imagine that experience of getting your product, getting it online, getting it through an e-commerce site has been ideal for learning a little bit about which couriers to use, which ones not to use. Really good way of learning as well as doing it yourself. But I suppose if somebody was interested in setting up an e-commerce site, they can just give you a call and get in touch and talk it through with you. That's the best way to do it.
Again, they don't, even if they've got an existing website, we don't necessarily have to start with a whole new website for them. If it's depending on what platform it's on or how they want to do it, there's a lot of different ways. But we can put things like that, like you've mentioned, like the national delivery or local delivery, click and collect. That's been a popular one.
Yeah.
So if they've got people, again, you can pick a slot at the brewery and you can come and pick up your beers. And a couple of our clients have found that particularly good, because they're at the brewery anyway. And for things like bag in box, which seems to have had a massive resurgence, it's great because people can come on a Thursday, Friday, pick it up, and then they've got it for the weekend. And it's it's helping the brewery shift a bigger volume of beer as well, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose a big part of that is also because you're not tasting the beer through a glass, you're actually tasting it in the cans or the bottles. I suppose a big change is being the cans and bottles.
Yeah. I mean, we've done quite a few designs for cans, especially for breweries that I would have never had down as ever doing cans. And again, they've changed their style, they've changed the brand, they've changed the type of beers they're brewing, and there's some really crazy beers out there at the minute. But again, the sort of the more traditional breweries are starting to experiment a bit more to try and sort of get a bit of that market share, and they're doing some really good beers. I know Quantock for one, they did the Obsessed range, which we've designed the cans for. But I know they've used some of your hops and some of your experimental stuff, and they've been really good. The single hop.
Fact, we had some up last Friday, and had a little taste in here in the office of those different ones, and they got two sets, so they almost do their traditional range and their new modern range.
Yes.
And I think that was quite interesting to see that the brand designs are very different. The traditional and the modern are very, very different, and those newer, more colourful cans are definitely something that catch your eye in the supermarket or perhaps in a local shop or something, because you've got that eye catcher. It's the eye that catches first, rather than the actual pump clip or the flavour of the beer once you've had a try of it. So it's a very important part of it. So you have your own designers in house who do that all for you.
Yeah. We've there's 6 of us at the moment, and we're looking to expand again, because again we've been busy. But yeah, we've got a couple of guys who are really talented designers, so they can do pretty much everything from sort of the more typographical styles or the photograph styles to fully illustrated things. We do a lot for a brewery in Warrington called 40s, and everything's sort of really heavily illustrated, big characters, jazzy backgrounds, things like that. And they go really well for them, and they do some of the more sort of out there different flavors of beers and peanut stouts and things like that. So the brand really suits what they're doing, but it's good because again the guys can turn that on to pretty much anything, whereas I can't even draw a stick man. So
yeah, I never cease to be amazed by people with these artistic qualities that can do all this drawing. It's fantastic.
It's great. I mean, again, we look when you give them a brief and you can see the sort of the cogs start wearing, and then like they've all got sort of tablets that they can draw on, and as they're drawing it appears straight on the screen, and they'll just start sketching stuff, and watching that as a process is brilliant.
Fantastic. And so with the brief, I mean, how if I was a customer coming to you now and saying, oh, I want to do a can design, how much information do you need from me to get that brief, to get those creative juices flowing? Because I know sometimes people say, well, I want a hop on here and I want a bit of barley on it, but how much do you actually need from them to get that going?
It depends. Again, some people come to us and they have an exact idea of what they want, and they describe it really, really well. And then other people haven't got a clue. So we have a questionnaire we send across to everybody. They fill in. It gives us a bit more sort of background about them and the brewery, and the style of beers, and what their aspirations are, who they admire, things like that. So that helps us. But sometimes again, the guys just have to pick things out of thin air, and they'll look at what the brewery's done in the past and take inspiration from that. Again, the Quantock ones are a good example, because we've worked with them for probably 4 or 5 years now, and they've gone from really traditional pump clip designs to then keg designs, and then sort of again still the traditional bottles, but then the jazzier cans, and then different ranges of the cans, to the single hop series now that we're doing. So there's been a real wide variety of styles and things that the guys have had to come up with. I know we've done, I think it was last year, they did the past, present and future. So they were all really heavily illustrated sort of pump clips. And they worked really well, but where the guys got the ideas from, no idea.
Well, I think, let's say again, with creative people, they can come up with ideas as I guess as much as you want, really. And it's I always find it's good with our stuff that we do here. It's always good to have that sort of basic idea of what you want to do, so you can get somebody onto the right track, rather than letting them go away, work on it for 10 hours and then say, oh no, that's not what I wanted.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but again, sometimes even things like the hops, knowing which hops they're using, because some of again, you've got loads of really cool names for the hops. So sometimes, like if that's the hop they're using in a particular beer, then we can take inspiration from that. We've done things like that for people as well, which has been nice. And again, I've had good results with those as well.
Fantastic. And does this all stretch then into social media and that sort of thing? Do you do a lot of work on social media for people?
Yeah, it's something we've started doing more and more of, again, since the initial lockdown, because everybody's realised they've got to promote themselves online. And I think the gin helps us with that, because we've promoted that. We've gone from nothing with the gin to promoting it, building up a following, doing all the advertising and marketing, all purely online. So I think that we've had a lot of good responses to that. So people have seen that and then said, "Can you do that for us?" So we've started working with a couple of breweries we work with. There's a couple of bars. One of the keg manufacturers, we're doing their social media for at the minute. So again, we can produce all the imagery. We can put a plan together. We can get it all sort of. We have some software, and we put it all in the software, and get it all planned in, so that once it's done, they don't really have to think about it till it goes out. So it's saving them a load of time and effort, and again, making sure everything that goes out and it's on brand and it's in the right colours, and it's got the right spellings and things like that, and just sort of helping them make the most of it. And again, we can look at the statistics, and we can sort of target things really, really sort of specifically for them.
I must admit, I'm very poor at social media. I just sort of remember sometimes I think, oh, I'll tweet that, or I'll put this on Facebook, or I'll do this. I suppose if you're a business, you should be a little bit more efficient than that. That's why we've got Charlie Gorham here at Ferrums to try and do that. And she's constantly badgering us to put more stuff onto social media, because I suppose as you say, at the moment we're not getting out there, we're not seeing people, we're not doing the things that we used to do. So social media is a great way for people to catch up with the world and also to promote their products.
Yeah. I think again, like where we'd go to a lot of shows previously, so we'd spend like money on going to Beer X and to Brow and coming to the Brewery Roadshows and things like that. That money we haven't spent on shows, so putting it into a different type of advertising and seeing how that works has been good, and it is working for us, and it's working for our clients, which is, again, that's the important thing, because if they're happy, then we're happy.
Absolutely, and selling more beer if possible. Yeah, I mean that's the key part of it, isn't it? And any way you can promote your brand, get out there into the market more, make it more easy for your customers to come and buy your beers, like we spoke about with the e-commerce side, small pack. I suppose I hadn't really thought about that, with the lockdown and how that would affect it. I knew that there were more cans and bottles out there, but to think then about the branding and the design that goes behind that. I mean, I guess you haven't done many pump clips lately because people just aren't buying beer through the pubs.
No, I don't think we've done one for probably about a year now. And that was the mainstay of what we did was pump clips and keg badges, because that's what everyone was doing, and they'd be doing seasonal beers and they'd have the core range, and then they'd be doing specials, and you design them and things that go with it, so bar runners, posters, all of that side of things. And then that's not at the minute, nobody's seeing it. And
crazy, so, how the world has changed. Crazy.
Yeah. Well, again, there's a pub local to me, and he switched over to being a can shop. And all he's done since the first lockdown is sell cans of beer. He's not done any draft beer at all, and he's really working hard at getting different cans in, getting new cans in, sort of asking the local people which beers they want to see in the shop, and doing that. And he's opening 2-3 days a week, doing click and collect, and he's really changed what he's doing to suit the market. And we were talking the other day, and it's as much as he wants to back open up as a pub, what he's doing now is a lot more straightforward. Get the cans in and out they go. There's no worrying about
difficult customers to deal with. Yeah. No, it's interesting. It's certainly changed a lot. But I must admit, I can't wait to get back in the pub myself and have a few beers with some friends, where we can shake hands and say hello, and
that's it.
Get to know people a little bit closer. Have those chats over a pint and catch up with people. It seems like it's been a long time, doesn't it?
That's the one thing I've really missed is a quiet Sunday night pint in the pub with one of my mates. So much so that we've started going running together on a Sunday. Instead, we just go out and just take it steady. But it's the only way we get to see each other. So we've started doing that. But it's not quite the same as having a pint. Bit more healthy, I suppose. But yeah, like just that interaction with people as well. I think, like, again, at events and things like when we'd go on the pub tours, with the hop walk and things like that.
All sorts of things like that. Well, hopefully one day, Andy, we'll get back to that. Hopefully. Fingers crossed this year, maybe. We're keeping our fingers crossed at the moment for the hop walk this year. Obviously, a lot will depend on how things progress through the summer, but we're going to keep our fingers crossed. So just for some customers who might want to get in touch, what's the best way to get in touch? Obviously, you've got website.
Website, lemontopcreative.com. Or drop me an email, andy@lemontopcreative.com. All my contact details, mobile number and stuff are on the website as well. So if anybody wants to pick up the phone and Zoom, Teams, all of those things that people wouldn't use before, and now we're stuck on all day.
Yeah, exactly. As I said, it would be nice to get back out there and get to a pub. But there we go. But no, I think everything is changed somewhat. But it's been great to catch up with you, Andy, and good to hear all the positive stuff you're doing, and I'm sure that we'll have lots of people who will be interested in what you're doing, and no doubt we'll give you a call and see what you can help them with, which would be fantastic. So great to catch up.
Yeah, it's been lovely to catch up. hopefully next time we'll be over a beer.
That's it. Anyway, we'll catch up again soon, Andy. Okay.
Hello, I'm LemonTop Larry. What makes us choose one beer from another? Is it the style? Is it the taste? Well, you may be surprised to know that 1 in 3 customers' decisions are based on looks alone. In fact, brands have about 7 seconds to make a good impression on a potential buyer, so packaging design can be much more important than the product inside. That's where LemonTop come in. I mean, what could be better than having a team of brewery branding specialists working closely with you to make sure your products look appealing and stand out from your competitors? Yes, first impressions really do count. That's why I always wear my sensational spinning bow tie. If you've got a project, let's talk. LemonTop. You brew it, we brand it.